Welcome to Prime View, a program where we take the views of Nigerians all over the world, discuss them, and pose them to the politically exposed. I'm Mystic Marlene.
You're welcome to the show. Like Merlin said, it's the show where we take the views of Nigerians from all around the world and pose them to you. You're welcome. On the show today, we have a young aspirant. His name is Ayodeji Ismail Karim, and he's a gubernatorial aspirant for Oyo State under the platform of the APC. You're welcome to the program, Ayo.
It's a pleasure to be here.
It's good to see you, sir.
Good to see you too. Thank you.
Yes, we're delighted to have Ayo today because, Nigerians have been clamoring for young people to get into politics and, for us to be represented and take the leap. Some of us abroad and in Nigeria, we've been encouraged to do this. And Ayo has taken this leap. And Ayo, we'd like to get you to introduce yourself to Nigerians or to your people around the world and get them to know a bit about you before we go further into the politics and why you decided to take this leap.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. First of all, thank you for having me. My name is Ayodeji Ismail Karim. I'm from the Ayodeji family of Okpo Labiran in Ibadan on my father's side, and on my mother's side, I'm from the Maya compound in Itamaya, Foko area of Ibadan. I decided to get involved. I think that my theme of my movement is about getting involved in politics because I feel that the time is now and the time is right for us to get involved with what's going on in Nigeria. And having been exposed, educated, and seeing the political landscape of Nigeria, and we look at the quality and the caliber of people who are directing our country, I feel that it will be a disservice if I do not get involved and partake in what is going on. So it's part of my own giving back to my society.
Wow. And you talked about Nigeria being vast and all that. You know, Nigeria is not where you say, okay, I can do this, I can do that. There's so much going on in Nigeria.
Yeah.
Especially in regards to unemployment, youth
Correct.
unemployment. In your states, what do you think you could do to cover that?
First of all, let's understand Oyo State. What is Oyo State? I'll give you a piece of statistics. The last census that was taken, Oyo State was at the time, probably about 10 years ago, 6.6 million. If we look at the death rate and the birth rate, and you extrapolate it today, we're around about 10 million in population now. And our typical, Oyo State is a typical agrarian state. And also we're very well known for being a civil service state. And also we're very, very strong in providing quality education for Nigerians. So based on that, those three items take major precedence in terms of employment. But agribusiness, for example, where we should have been the food basket of the nation. But the good thing is that this present government, led by our able governor Ajimobi, has decided that agribusiness has to be number one in the state. So we understand we need to grow at scale. What we're doing now, we're attracting different types of investment into the state to ensure that this is what, and also we need to make agribusiness. You remember I didn't say farming. Agribusiness, we have to make it attractive to Nigerians, to the young people who are coming up. You see, first of all, we must be able to feed ourselves, feed our neighbors, and feed the world. And we want to start, well, the government has started, and that's what we want to build on. So in terms to go back to your question in terms of unemployment, yes, unemployment is generally high in Nigeria, but the process has begun now to reduce that rate of unemployment.
You talked about agriculture, and the main issue in terms of agriculture in Nigeria recently has been the issue of ranching and herdsmen and
correct.
So a lot of youth, when they think about agriculture, to them it's like, you want to go and kill me. You want to send me out there to be lynched by these Fulani herdsmen. So if you become the governor, or when you become the governor, what's your plan in terms of, are you for ranching? Are you, in some states, some governors have decided not to go with ranching. Some see it as it's you know they're playing politics with it. But are you gonna? What's your own opinion on this?
My opinion, I like to justify what I say with numbers and statistics. Look, in the whole of, if you look at the protein to human ratio in Nigeria, we have 180 million population. In terms of cows, which is the particular topic today, we're supposed to consume around about 9 million cows a year. Currently, we're producing and consuming just over 4 million. Now, this is very funny. Out of the 4 million that we produce and consume in Nigeria, did you know that 2 million of that comes from across the border, meaning Republic of Benin, Niger, Chad, and Cameroon? So within the shores of Nigeria, we only produce 2 million. And let's localize it to Oyo State. Out of the 2 million that we produce within the shores of Nigeria, 1.5 million comes from the northern part of the country, migrating downwards. So in the western region, statistics shows that we actually, out of the total 4 million that's produced, we consume about 65% of that, and we only produce about 500,000. So for me, first of all, there's a market in this in the West.
Do you actually do you have cattle in your
I do. That's what I do. That's my main business.
Okay.
I mean, yes.
So why is it, you know, because Nigerians want to understand how it works in terms of, because the notion out there is that rich men are the ones funding what's happening. For instance, most of the governors and politicians are the ones who own these cattle, and these are the people arming them. I mean, if in your state, for instance, how are you gonna? Because you know, whether you like it or not, Fayose was revered for putting down a law, you know,
banning,
and all that. So are you gonna, the current governor? What is he towing that line at the moment, or
what the current government is doing? We don't have major issues in terms of headsman, you know, killing people in Oyo State. We've had maybe one or two isolated issues. However, for me, let me talk from the solution point of standpoint. There's demand and there's supply. Demand is what's fueling the supply. Now, what I'm saying is very simple. How do we stem this tide? First of all, Oyo State, in the western region, I've just given you a statistic, we consume 65% of 4 million. That's about 3.
Oyo alone?
No, not Oyo, the total western region.
Okay, so
Lagos State is probably the biggest consumer out of all of it.
Yeah.
My own solution to that would be this. If you're producing in Ijebu and you're producing in Iseyin and I'm producing in Ibadan, and we form a cooperative, and we increase what we produce.
So regional cohesion.
Yes, there has to be a cohesion within the regions to say, look, let's produce. We consume 65% of total production. Why can't we be the one also producing? If we reduce that by half, you will notice that half of the issues that you're talking about will naturally reduce. So for me, that's a solution there.
Okay, and then growing up in Nigeria, I grew up in Nigeria.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
Oh.
The education level, especially in higher level, University of Oyo used to be
Number one.
But it has gone down.
Correct.
But before I ask you the question on that, can we have I think the phone line will be on in a minute. So viewers, if you need to ask questions, if you need to join the conversation, ask questions or talk to the governor to be, because already we believe he's going to be the next governor of Oyo State.
Amen to that.
Yeah, you can see the phone line is on. You can call him and join the conversation. But my question now is, how do you intend to give Oyo back that name back?
Look, let's look at antecedents. 70 years, with all due respect to every other part of Nigeria, Oyo State, as I said, with all sense of responsibility, I say this, and with all due respect to other parts like Lagos, Kano, Port Harcourt, even Abuja today, civilization and development began from Ibadan, Oyo State. Now, we were the first of everything. First university, first TV station, first radio station, the first tallest building, the first escalator, the first of everything, right? And this was 70 years ago. Like you rightly said, we went from first to the bottom 5. Now, the current, let me go back to what the current government is doing. This current government is APC, is led by our able Governor Ajimobi. Look, the system has been rotting for so long, So when he came in about 7 years ago, the first thing to do, I'm in construction, I've been in construction for a long time. If you're unsure about any structure, you uproot everything and start all over again. This is what he has done in the last 7 years. He has laid a solid foundation for the next person like myself to come in and build and take that to an exponential level. I mean, for me, to answer your question, that's exactly what he has done in the education sector.
Okay.
For example, and he has, in fact, as at today, he has built a prototype, a model school to say this is where we're going, where it's safe, it's inclusive, conducive learning environment.
Sorry to interrupt you. Let's see.
Yeah, sure.
Hello, who's speaking? Welcome to Prime View.
Yes, hello. Am I on to the live show?
Yeah, who's speaking, please? You're on live on Prime View.
Am I on live at the moment?
Yes, you was. You are live.
Maybe she can
Who's
call.
speaking?
There's two
Can you hear
people
us?
there. There's two people on the line.
No,
It's cross line.
First line, yeah.
so go.
Now, as I was saying, the foundation has been laid,
Yeah.
a prototype school has been built,
Yep.
and even the APC government has instituted the school feeding program, whereby in Oyo State, for example, we have about 1,200 schools.
Yeah.
And
Is it being practiced in Oyo? 'Cause
it's been practiced.
You know the notion out there on social media is that
Yeah.
no one's actually seeing where it's happening.
No, you have to have facts and figures before you can make. You don't just arbitrarily say things that's untrue. The facts are there and the figures are there. There are more students going into school now to receive education in Oyo State than we've ever had before.
So I must say that because since we've had some shows, some people come to the show, most of the people that come are against the people leaving. I must say you're now talking positively for the governor that is right there.
Yeah, let's give respect where respect is due. If somebody has done well, let's say he has done well. If he hasn't done well, let's say he hasn't done well. As far as I am concerned, and with all sense of responsibility, this government has done very well in terms of laying foundation and driving the policy. Look, if you do a comparative analysis from what this present government has done compared to the last 4 governments, there's no comparison at all. What he has done is uprooted the foundation and laid it properly how it's supposed to be done, how the rest of the world did it. Don't just build something quickly just for show and then vanish. Then it disappears in 2 weeks or in 2 years. No, this is long-term vision, long-term view.
And sorry, and that takes me into you have a program you call iShape.
Yes.
I must say on the social media it's quite, people are quite like the idea of the acronym iShape.
iShape, yes.
I'd like you to explain exactly what it means.
Well, the I is infrastructure. It's very simple. Basic infrastructure is needed, is required by any society to be able to get goods and services from A to B efficiently and safely. So we know in Oyo State we've done a takeoff, and we know we need about 800 kilometers of road, bridges, etc., etc. So what we've done is that, look, let's prioritize the construction of the road. I'll give you an example. It takes about 100 million to do a kilometer of road, and we know we need about 800 billion. We don't have that kind of money, but you can plan for it. You see, now how do you now plan for it? You plan for it, you take the essential services first, the ones who would have a direct impact to the economy and the people, lives of the people in Oyo State. So those are essential roads and commercial roads. Then political roads, you have to have that. Let's assume it's 40-40-20. Then you focus on those things because, look, like I said to you at the start, Oyo State is a typical agrarian state. We want to get agribusiness and we want to do it at scale. Now, how do we get our goods from the villages, from the farms to the city? We need roads. We need all these things built. So why don't we will focus on that and get the goods and services. What I'm saying is, look, if we decided that we want to plant corn in Oyo State, if you haven't gone to Oyo State to buy corn in the whole of West Africa, you will not have been anywhere.
So we take you.
I stands for
Infrastructure. S is for security and sports.
Okay.
Security and sports.
Yep.
No, it's important to have security because if you don't have a sense of security, investment or attracting investment may be difficult. So how do you do it? We need a safe working environment for people. I'll give you an example. If you're coming to Oyo State, for example, and you feel, well, as a businessman, one of the first questions you would ask me is, if I have $100 million, is my money safe? Is my business safe? Are my people safe? Is it safe to get my money out when I want to? I mean, for me, those are reasonable, pertinent questions to need. So we need to create that enabling environment that's safe, that's conducive for business to thrive. So that's one of the things. And this government also has done that. You can see the major infrastructures being put in place. There's a lot of roads now being built. There's a lot of street lights being put in place. Illumination is part of it. So the work is ongoing. Like I said, our government is to build on the existing success of this government. S That's secure. Sports, obviously, we all know if you want me to go.
So is it a double S or?
It's a single S, but I like to add that to it because it's important because sports is where you galvanize the youth, where it's the grassroots, the youth. We can all come together.
Well, you want a sportsman? Do you have a? I know you know we haven't talked. We're going to come to your background.
Yes.
Okay, sure.
Were you want a sport? Were you really athletic?
I was at, well, you can see from my shape, I tried to do some exercise, yes. Agriculture.
Yes.
Agriculture is the focal point of our government. As I said, bring in the right investment. There's an existing structure available that we need to fledge and build on. And this government has started what they call the the food basket of the nation has begun. This is the third year into it, and we intend to build on that and scale it.
Yeah. No, sorry. Before you went a bit further, I wanted you to explain the sports because I was once a sportsman.
Okay.
Forget my physique now, but in terms of finding the grassroots, yeah, because whether we like it or not, Kanu and all those guys,
yes,
they were picked up from. Do you have a plan?
We have a
plan. Are you going to have an academy or well,
we have a plan. You see, part of our going forward. Let me say something today, and I've never actually said it in any form of media. We intend, in terms of sports, we intend to be the strongest and the most efficient and the most effective thriving state in terms of sports. I know at the moment Delta State is pretty high up in terms of that. We intend to beat that.
Yes, Delta.
Actually, part of the things and part of the ways in which we need to employ youth to actually participate in sports. You see, the only way you can get we would have a scheme whereby if you're an athlete, if you're a track and field athlete, for example, we will bring you on based on talent, not based on because you're my cousin or his cousin or her cousin. It has to be on merit.
You're going to have scouts.
We would have scouts. We bring people in. We would actually employ them to, as part of a state, sports commission, or we'll create employment by generating, look, sports nowadays, we have to understand the kind of, a lot of advertising money. If you do well, people want to watch you. That's a simple text. So if we go by that and we're the best, people want to watch us. And we can also represent us, our country and our people.
So I was going to say, what's the state of the stadium in Ibadan? Is it, because are you going to revive? Because I don't know really.
No, there's the first stadium in Africa in West. It's called Liberty Stadium. Okay, it's actually pretty decent, but it's owned by the federal government. Please,
I'll take this call. Hello, welcome to Prime View. Can you hear me? It's Spencer speaking.
Hello, I can hear.
Who's speaking, please?
Engineer Tayo speaking.
Engineer Tayo, did you say?
Yeah, Tayo.
Okay, do you have a comment or a question for Ayodeji?
Yeah, I have a question for Mr. Ayodeji. Well, I'm from Oyo State and precisely Ibadan. One of the questions, and for someone like me who does business in Ibadan, and though I live in the diaspora, but I travel on frequently and I have a few businesses in Nigeria. One of the challenges I have, as a young man identifying with Oyo State is the brand. Oyo State is being, unlike Lagos State, most people usually, even when they're in the diaspora, they want to associate with Lagos. They hardly want to associate with Oyo State, Ibadan, because they believe, the way the people behave local, their level of exposure. In terms of education, bringing in competitiveness in terms of the kind of organizations that come in, these are the things that can change the brand. For example, if top companies come into Ibadan, for example, or your state, now the quality of graduates that will be coming in, the quality of people that will be coming in, would improve the state. So how do you intend to help us improve this brand? Okay. Listening to some people on radio say, when people always think, when they talk about Ibadan or talk about Ibadan boys, Ibadan girls, I think they're very local people.
Okay, Tayo, thank you. Tayo, I think we got the gist of your question. Thanks for the call, and the answer. Yeah, before you answer it, right? I think I know what he's talking about, because the most popular road in Nigeria, guess what road it is?
Lagos Ibadan
Road. And then it's not known for anything good, really. It's known for non-completion. It's known for waste of money. So how are you going to give that?
Okay, let me.
It's a line with what you
just
before you go on to, because when he walked in, there was a funny conversation going on between us. The first was like, "Do you live in Lekki?" You know, you see the mental.
Yeah, the mentality.
Lagos
is always the.
Lagos is always there. So how do you rebrand?
Rebrand.
What are the choice areas in Ibadan, for instance?
There are plenty of areas in Ibadan where you can live. Okay. I live in Alalibosa Estate, for example.
Is that the Banana Island?
GRA. That's a GRA. Yeah. Then you have the Bodija. I'm sure you've heard of Bodija. Bodija is where the old colonials lived, and all those kind of. You have Onireke, Jericho, all those areas. There's a lot of good, decent areas where you can live. But in order to answer your question, one of the good things, but you see, this federal government, the APC government, have decided very, very resolute about the decision that Lagos Ibadan must be done. And as I can confirm to you now, if you're listening to me again, the caller, that 65% of the road has now been completed, and work is ongoing. There's no, they're determined to finish it. Secondly, the Lagos Ibadan rail service also will be completed at some point in the next 6 to 9 months. Okay, now we have an airport in Ibadan also. A lot of people didn't know this, but it's about branding.
There's an airport at the moment.
There's an airport that's active. We have about 4 flights.
Like a local airport?
Yeah, it's an internal.
So most people land in Lagos, they just go by road. They don't fly in.
No, but the good thing is that we have an integrated transport service system into Ibadan now that would encourage goods and services. One of the key things I feel is that we need to develop the middle class. What do I mean by middle class? A small family of 3 or 4, they can afford the basic amenities of life, decent flat, a car, probably able to go on holiday a year. But how do they spend their money? They go to Lagos, hop on the flight, and go to Dubai, South Africa, Europe, or the US. So now, Oyo State, what we're doing now is that we're creating, now there's a few malls that have now been built, like Jericho Mall, the Dugbe Mall, the Cocoa Mall, the big mall, the Palm Mall on Ring Road.
Do you have a shop right here?
Oh yeah, we do. We have about 4.
Okay, you have a shop in Ibadan.
Yeah, in Ibadan. Yes. So this thing is developing.
Foreign investment. Yeah, that's
I mean, why? Because this current government is very forward-thinking and very forthright, and being able to attract all these new brands into it. We want to develop. We want to build on that and develop and fledge it to an exponential level. And that's why I'm here. And that's why I'm getting involved. Oh yeah. Look, I'll give you another statistics. Did you know that in the whole of Nigeria, Ibadan itself has more millionaires per square kilometer than any other part of the country?
Are you serious?
Yes. Confirm what I've just said to you. Now, but where do they spend their money? They go to Lagos, hop on a flight, and disappear. You'll be happy to see the old man in his balcony in his small rickety car. You don't know he has the money. These guys are perennial landowners who have been there, but what we're trying to do, make it attractive for them to spend the money within the system instead of capital flight.
What Tayo asked though, it's like, how are you going to make that, what program do you have, or what initiative do you have that will make it, like for me now, for instance, if I'm going to Nigeria, I can say, you know what, Tayo, whoever it is, you for instance, I want to come and visit you in Ibadan. And when I go, I'm going to be happy to be there.
Yes.
That are supposed to thinking, I just want to stay in Lagos. So, look, especially coming from abroad.
Hospitality, for example, has improved a lot, significantly, in the last 8 years. Hospitality in terms of where to go, things to see, and where to spend your money, and where to have a good time. That's it. Hotels are now coming in. We have international brands like Golden Tulip, like what's the other one? Best Western. All those are coming in now, and there's a lot more being built.
Okay.
I mean, in the last this only happened in the last 8 years. I'll give you an example. In the last 8 years, the Agodi Gardens, which is a huge botanical garden and a zoo and all these things, and these things are springing up. People are finding it a bit more relaxing.
Well,
and the traffic system in Oyo State is next to nothing.
Okay.
What do you mean?
Within Ibadan.
No traffic.
Within Ibadan and all this. No, there's no traffic at all. You can get from A to B within.
Because I remember going to the east a few years ago, and immediately we came to Ibadan. There was a bit of traffic. No. And I know it's a bit city, but I said, is this the Ibadan they're talking about? Because it was like and another question I wanted to, what I noticed was there was a lot of brown roofs, and this was a few years ago, I must admit. But is it on purpose? Is it left like that on purpose?
No, Ibadan. I'm from there, so I know. I know exactly what you're saying. Look, for me, the brown zinc for me is the symbol of Ibadan.
Okay.
I don't think we should uproot anything. I think new cities, satellite towns should be built around it and make that our old city, and we have new Ibadan around it. And this present government has already started that. A lot of layouts have been dotted around Ibadan. A lot of bypasses and a lot of roads are now being designed to ring around it. Yes.
Keep the old.
Yeah, but that's our tradition, it's our culture, so we want to keep it.
Yeah, okay, like you mentioned about hospitality in Ibadan. taking you back to security.
Yes.
The state police.
Mm-hmm.
What's your view on that? And then Nigeria, we sitting down here feel
taking from what yesterday there was a new committee set up by the Vice President.
Yes.
He said it's what word did they use? They called it decentralization of the police force. So, as a state, if you become the state governor, is it something? Is it a welcome development, or is it something?
It is a welcome development.
I know most state governors want that, but as an individual, like for the people, because it's not about what the governors want really.
It's what the people want. Yes.
So, from that perspective, what's your
look? The practical thing here is this: state police has a lot of advantage. And part of the advantages are, number one, most of the guys who work in the state will be from the state, so they have local knowledge, they know the people, they know the area, and they know the environment. That has to be an advantage. If I live in Lagos, I grew up in Lagos, and you sent me to Kwara State to be a local policeman somewhere, it takes me 6 months or thereabouts to understand the people and understand the environment. We don't have 6 months to waste. Why don't we focus on state police that will be a bit more efficient, a bit more effective? And I actually believe that the crime rate would actually reduce if we have state police. But then I'm here to advocate, but the government has to decide. The government of the day has to decide whether it's viable and it makes sense for them. If it makes sense as a country, as a people, I think it's something that we should go for and try and encourage it.
Well, I know security is an area but we're going to talk about it in the second half of the program.
Sure.
But education. Education for me is one that I remember initially I was so proud of the Southwest, because I said they had a university where 2 states were
sharing Ocean State.
And I saw that as a wonderful idea of regional cohesion, where states can own jointly in companies, industries, stuff, and that's cool. So, but that became a problem, where Lautech became an issue. We saw protests. We saw even the incumbent governor making some, that went viral comments. So my question is, have you looked into that issue, and how do you intend to? Because I know they're saying there's still salaries being owed.
Yes.
In terms of with the school. This is nothing to do with civil services. That's a different thing. Particularly the school, which was a pride of the Southwest. So how do you intend to address that issue?
Look, one of the first things is that Lautech, Gbomosho is a joint venture between Ocean State and Oyo State. At the time where the issue began, is that one part of the joint venture wasn't living up to their own part of the agreement. So basically, it's about money. There's no funding available one side. If there's no way you pay somebody 50% and the others, people would suffer. So part of the thing, but that's by the by, that's gone. The situation is stable now and it's stabilized. If you look at the budget of Oyo State, there's a provision for salaries. If you go to the website, you see there's a provision for salaries. And in that provision, the backlog, the current and the future, has been taken care of in that. So I'm not quite sure where we are in terms of how much we have cleared the backlog. But as I know, as at today, the current is being paid. We have a little bit of backlog. It will be. But let's talk about qualitative education that's provided by, like you rightly said, it was a pride. I mean, part of the thing is to have a strategic alliance, a strategic partnership to try and encourage. We know education is a bedrock of our society. If we don't educate our children, it's just a keg of gunpowder waiting to explode.
So let me take this. Hello, welcome to Prime View. It's Spencer speaking. What's your name, please?
Educate.
Pardon?
Educate.
Educate.
Educate. Okay, welcome to the program, Educate.
Where's she calling from?
Where are you calling from, please?
London.
You're calling from London. Okay, do you have a question for Ayodeji?
Yes. I spoke about agriculture earlier on. I have a farm in Ibadan. I bought the land years back, and it's been a lot of encroachment on. I want to be agricultural. I'm not from Ibadan, but it's been there for about 15 years. There's been a lot of problems with it, and I learned that they have a higher scale of land grabbing in Ibadan than Lagos. And I want to know what he wants to do about that. He wants to promote agriculture, because there's been a battle for me to retain that land.
Okay. Thank you very much for
Thank you.
Ayo.
So that's a
I want
very
to know what he wants to do when he gets in terms of issues of encroachment on people's lands, and even though people want to do agriculture. I want to come in there, but the mentality about it can be quite frustrating in terms of work, attitude to work.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll pose it to Ayodeji. He's here to answer your questions.
okay. Well, that's a very good question. Remember, we have a law. It's a country of laws, and as far as I'm concerned, I don't accept challenges to the law. We have the law to guide us in making decisions on what we do, and I'm sure land grabbing is illegal. So if it is illegal, what we need to do is encourage the law enforcement agency to enforce the law. So first things first, if that happens, there's a process. You report the process, and you ensure you follow through. Don't just report it and leave it as it is, because we're still at that stage where all these things is a bit new to us in terms of doing a follow through. So if you have to insist that the law has to prevail. So if the law prevails, then it will be dealt with.
Yeah, but isn't there a way of, because remember years ago that same thing used to happen in Lagos, where you start building your house, for instance, or Mali will turn up, and then they will take away they'll stop you from building.
The law has dealt with that in Lagos. So we have Lagos as an example.
My question, yeah, you're saying law, but my question is, sometimes it's easier to say law, but there's no one to enforce the law. So people are left, at a peril, and if you're not strong enough, you bought the land, you can't do anything. I mean, that's where we probably need a governor who will come in and say, do you know what, we're going to have a law and enforce the law to ensure that that doesn't continue.
That's why I was saying there's a law already existing
So it's
against that.
enforced, is it?
It's been enforced. It is in Lagos. In Oyo State, it's still in Lagos. But whether we have the capacity to enforce that law is a different issue. So what we intend to do is, when we get into office, is that build that capacity to enforce that law. As I said to you before, we would not accept challenges to the law.
Special security for land.
As I will say this,
you need to have
let me categorically and emphatically say something to you. We will not unequivocally have challenges to the law. If the law says A, we stick to the law. It doesn't mean we won't use our discretion and common sense, but if the law, we have laws. This is the part of our, going forward, our government would ensure there's enforcement in that.
Okay, before we go on,
you see, just for me to say, the idea of attracting investment and investors, I don't just want Ibadan or your people to invest in Oyo State. I want non-indigents to come in and invest, because we want to create that enabling environment. And now that is already happening. Like I said before, we want to build on the existing success of this government and take it to an exponential level.
Okay, so before we go on break, your APC.
Correct.
As we all know. And there's so much defections going on in the party, PDP, AP, PDC, and ADC and co. If your people vote you in now, because you're begging actually for their votes right now, if they vote you in, are you not going to be one of those people that will tomorrow defect to another party?
Okay.
It's like a promise you have to make to them.
Let me tell you something. I've been a member of APC from inception.
Okay.
Because I believe in the party ideology and the philosophy of the party. Now, the jumpers, as you say, remember when APC was formed, it was an amalgamation of different people, different ideologies, and different people are just naturally falling back to where they belong. That's all there is to it. When the dust, it's like you throw dust up. When the dust settles, whoever's in PDP will be there, whoever the other party, they will naturally go to their party. And there are other people, they say politics is about interest. And our people naturally, we're still at infancy, whereby we don't necessarily hold on to ideology as we do in the Western world. We don't hold on to philosophies as we do. We just look at interests. How does it benefit me? And these are the things that has to change. And I always say to Nigerians, do not vote for someone that gives you a piece of sliced bread and takes away your bacon.
Oh, that's what's going on, man. That's what's going on.
In State, for instance, which everybody's pointing to now, because it's not like it's been going on for years. But it happened in Anambra State, because a friend of mine who was there while elections were going on said to me that he visibly saw it happening, and in Ekiti State it happened as well. So, but my question is, in 2019, isn't that going to be a hindrance for if obviously you're still an aspirant, but if you do finally get the ticket for the APC, isn't that one of the challenges you're looking at? Because even in Oyo State, we feel like there's a lot of people with a lot of poverty. So how isn't that a worry for you?
It is a worry.
Some big man will come in the PDP or in the whatever party and start buying votes, and you know that could.
You see, one of the key, I gave you a piece of statistics. There's a lot of youths who we're currently encouraging to first of all get their PVC. For you to be eligible to take part in a voting process, 50% of it is getting your PVC. Now, thank goodness the INEC people have extended the dates in which you can register and get your PVC. That's number one. So now, and if you look at the trend of people who are, you know, the women and the youth, and we're saying to them today, please, open your eyes. Make sure your vote counts. Don't vote for a government that you deserve. Vote for a government that you desire.
You desire, yes.
Don't vote for a government that you deserve, because vote for something that you desire.
They might desire the one that gives that's giving them money.
Well, that's no. The one that gives you money is what you deserve.
Sometimes they desire it.
Okay, let me tell you.
Because Ayodeji hasn't got the money, and another guy has
Okay,
the money.
okay. Let me give you an example. What is the average money a politician will give to you to vote for him? 5,000 naira.
I heard they increased the
Let's say 10,000 naira. Hold on, let me give you an example.
They raised the stakes.
Let me break it down for you. The reason why our country is what it is because somebody gives you 10,000 naira and you don't see him again in 4 years. Are you telling me where I'm sitting today how that makes sense to whoever's listening and watching, whether you're only entitled to 200 naira a month for 4 years? If you can survive on 200 naira, let somebody give you a piece of sliced bread and take away your bakery.
True.
On this note, shall we take a break and we come back and we talk real politics with our governor here? Stay with us.
A great product just landed in Africa to power your devices. A product with high performance and high durability. Fujitsu batteries, distributed by IQ Distributions. Fujitsu has both industrial and consumer battery types suitable for various devices. The consumer battery types include alkaline batteries, carbon zinc batteries, rechargeable batteries, lithium batteries to power devices like torchlight, wristwatch, mouse, cordless phone, remote, car remote, camera, calculator, radio, microphone, motherboard, keyboard, gamepad, toys, electric toothbrush, smoke detector and lots more. Reputable, reliable and result-oriented distributors are wanted in Nigeria, Ghana, South Africa and the entire sub-Saharan Africa region. To apply, simply visit www.iqdistributions.com. Complete the reseller application form, upload the required documents, and submit. Once your application is approved, you will be given access to make purchases on the website. For more details, contact us now. Fujitsu batteries, quality, engineered in Japan.
Welcome to Kurama Lounge Pan-African Restaurant, bringing you the finest taste of African food to the heart of East London. Choose from a variety of Pan-African menu or try our point and kill fresh catfish. We are located in 308 Barking Road, East Ham, London, E6 3BA. For table bookings, birthday bookings, baby shower and private events, call us on 0203 302 6565. or 07532 789 480. Kuramo Lounge. Welcome to Kuramo.
Heritage Television. Promoting African culture and heritage at its best. From talk shows that concern you to both local and international news that relates to you. From grassroots football to African children's programs. Heritage Television. We cover your social and special events like weddings, birthdays, church anniversaries and so on, and broadcast them live on our apps and online. Heritage Television, broadcasting everything about culture and heritage. Heritage Television. We've got it covered. Do download our apps on both Android, iOS, and Windows mobile platform. Heritage Television, your very own TV station.
Welcome back. You're still tuned to Prime View. This is, like I told you earlier on, a program where we take the views of Nigerians all over the world, discuss them like we're doing right now, and pose them to the politically elite. My name is Mystic Marlene.
And I'm her co-host Spencer Anyewano. And with us today we have a young man and an intelligent young man. We're delighted to have him today. His name's Ayodeji Karim, and he's running and an aspirant for the gubernatorial position of Oyo State. You're welcome back again, Ayo.
Thank you.
A lot of people on social media have been actually intrigued and wondering, they've been talking about your military background, which I said I was going to tell people about. Can you tell us a bit about it and your experience and how it may or may not impact on, because in Nigeria, we have this thing about military men who are afraid. I mean, the incumbent is a military, as in the federal
retired general.
Yes. So we're worried, are you going to bring military hand to Oyo State?
Well, to answer your question, I joined the army in 1989 in the Royal Green Jackets in the UK. And from there I proceeded to University of Wales in Swansea, where I joined the Officers Training Corps. And one of the things I took away from the army is fitness, discipline, and how to command. It's part of command tasks. Leadership, commanding, etc., etc. And if you look at my career in construction, it's been about leadership. And what is leadership? Leadership is about leading from the front and by example. Discipline, timely, making sure things are done timely, within the budget, and quality is part of it. So I mean, it's a major advantage for me. Although I only spent about 8 years in the army, but it was a bedrock of my development.
Do you have in all the projects you're planning for your state? What's your health? What do you intend to put in towards health for your people?
Health is divided into 3 different categories. For example, you have the tertiary, secondary, and the primary.
Yes.
Statistics has shown in the whole of Oyo State that majority of the ailment that we have in Oyo State can be dealt with by primary health care.
Yes, yeah.
But that primary health care at the moment is almost non-existent. But if you look at it in the last few years, emphasis and effort has been put into developing our primary health care. Primary health care is a local health center that will take care of the minor ailment like fever, cuts and bruises, first aid kind of thing. But what we discover in Oyo State is a very peculiar case because we have UCH, University Teaching Hospital, which is a combination of tertiary and secondary. And their main focus should have been focusing on the big ailments like the cancers and research, and then training doctors and nurses. But at the moment, they're spending 75% of their time dealing with primary health care issues. So that has to change. And how do you change that? First of all, you have to change the funding structure. The funding structure, there has to be funding available primarily for primary health care. And then it has to be efficient, it has to be effective. And also, we have to also focus on a lot of preventative medicine, because if you prevent the ailment in the first place, you won't have it.
I think, I must stop you, I think the governor, I saw something about, it's called a 50 billion naira health endowment fund, which he reckons has treated over 1 million people. Are you planning to go ahead with it?
Oh yeah, no, look, it makes sense, as you can see it. I mean, look, 1 million people have been looked after. And
a lot of people are happy, because I saw it was really good.
People are happy to put money into it because they're getting quality service. It's about service, quality. It's not just service, but quality service. And look, If you
So
build on
what
that,
people are paying into that fund, or
oh yeah,
what is
people are
that?
paying a token into it on a regular basis. When it's needed, you go there with it. It's like
So-
an insurance.
so it's insurance,
Yes, it's like a health insurance. But now it's very efficient and effective for
Yeah,
us.
okay. And
So there will be no free health care for certain people in
What
when
is
you come on.
What is free? What do you
Well,
mean
like
free?
here we have our
Like here, where?
national insurance number here.
There's a contribution going into it.
Yeah, the taxpayers pay for it.
Yes.
Yeah, but for the for the unemployed and for the I use the word the poor.
You see, in Oyo State,
Yes,
the
in
reason why
Oyo
you have this
State.
endowment 50 billion is to
Yes.
look after people in that category.
Category,
So they
yes.
have access.
Is it working? Are
Oh,
you
it is
sure?
working, like you rightly said. The study
Yeah?
shows you 1 million people has been looked after within that scheme. So for me, it makes sense. And the rich people,
They
you
can,
know,
they can go. They
They
can go
They could
abroad.
go and
no. But you see,
Are you planning to build some sort? Because the question I always ask myself is, why can't a state governor come out one day and say, "Do you know what? We're going to allocate X amount of money to build, even if it's going into one element, and be a specialist there." I know there are issues of funding in terms of being able to pay and retain the staff, and it's not by any means easy. But if you have a clinic where you can treat at least 50 people a year or whatever, but it's a specialist clinic, that would attract people. I'm just wondering why can't no government?
it's called medical tourism. I think that's what you're trying to
Exactly,
say.
yeah.
Oyo State is already providing that.
Okay.
I'll give you an example. In 1973, I think I read a report. The King of Saudi actually preferred coming to Ibadan, UCH, to receive treatment with his family.
And now the president of Nigeria prefers to go to London. So
Well,
what we do, like why?
They're not
you see,
saying that.
why can't the state in Nigeria say, "Do you know what? We're gonna bring back
Oyo State is already doing that, and the idea is for people to come to. If you haven't received qualitative healthcare in Nigeria, in Oyo State, you haven't been anywhere in Nigeria. That's
All right, sorry. Just let's not go too far because it's a substitute. Now I noticed, and when I'm reading up, I found out that Oyo State actually is not doing badly in terms of IGR. Oyo State is the 7th in terms of the pecking order out of the 36 states. It's number 7 in terms of IGR, internally generated revenue. Now my question is, in terms of your natural resources, what does Oyo State have, and how do you intend to build upon it and make sure that you get the maximum amount of resources or revenue, and that you can plow back into
Let's clarify something, please.
Yes.
For those people who are listening, would understand that for yourselves.
Yes.
Any natural resource is found in the ground anywhere in Nigeria is owned by the federal government.
Agreed, yeah.
Let's
Yes.
not. So the state government, what I think is reasonable should be where we have a symbiotic relationship with the federal government, where we partner with the federal government in harmonizing or exploring what's in the ground together, so we can both share the resources, share the value, residual value that's coming out.
Yeah.
For me, that makes sense, and I think there's a proposal right now from the state government to the federal government to already do that. Because if we create an enabling environment in Oyo State and people want to come and explore to support in mining the mineral resources, why not? Why should we have to wait till the center makes a decision? No, we're already partners.
Can we take the call?
I'll take this call. Hello, welcome to Prime View. My name is who's speaking, please? I'm Spencer. Welcome to the show, Bidemi. Have you got a question for Ayodeji?
Yeah, I got a question.
Okay, go ahead.
Hello, Mr.
Sorry, where are you calling from, Bidemi, you said?
I'm calling from London.
Okay, Bidemi. You got a question for Ayo, please?
Yeah. Welcome, Mr.
Hello there.
Hello. You have your brilliant ideas, which I'm very happy about it. But the problem for you is going to have is like, to imagine that part is going to be a problem. The Shitu and Ajimobi, they're having big problems, seriously. The Shitu want to be God. Ajimobi want to set up his own people as well to be a government. You understand? Which they are the same party. It's going to cause a very, very problem for you. Why not look for young party to join them with the brilliant idea that you have, so that you can be able to put it to them? That's my contribution.
That's a good.
Thank you,
Thank you very much. That's a good question, because
then
yes, then the young party,
you're a young
yes,
man,
yeah. Yeah.
I saw your well, I don't want to give away your date, but well, you're a young man, relatively. And he said, why don't you join the young parties? I mean, you have numerous of them.
Yes.
Shore inaugurated his party the other day. Is it AAC or yeah? Kingsley Moghalu has his YPP. He's saying, why are you joining the same old party where there's these same old men, you know, with these ideas? Why not go for a new platform?
You see, for me personally, I believe Ayodeji Kareem can make a tangible difference. Don't worry about the big ones.
Those
I'm not,
bad eggs.
I'm not
so-called.
bad egg, good eggs. It doesn't make any difference. It's about I'm a soldier and I'm a fighter. You see, I'm not perturbed by any of these things. First of all, you mentioned the minister. The minister is still a minister of the Federal Republic, so therefore he hasn't declared his intention to run. So let's understand that. Yes, he said he wants to be governor. How? And he still has a job as a minister. So first, he needs to give that up, and then come and partake in the running. So for me, I don't have an issue until he decides to give up his job and throw his hat in the ring. Then it's not a major issue for me. I mean, he would have to tell he has to show the people of Oyo State what he wants to do, what he can do. It's not about throwing money down. I think the electorate is now start learning and understanding that we don't want your piece of sliced bread to take away our bakery. It is changing, and I'm part of that change.
And has any of these young parties approached you since you've been doing this? Because he asked a question there, why don't you join one of these young parties?
I believe in strategic alliance and a strategic partnership. There's a lot of other parties out there, but as I said before, I've been a member of the APC from inception.
And
I believe in the philosophy
it.
and I believe in the ideology of the party. That's why I'm still.
And do you have a problem with, I have a problem personally with all this recycling old people being there. You don't have a problem with
I
that?
am not old. That's why I'm taking on a challenge. Bring on the challenge.
So it's not a challenge to you. It's not a
No, but you know when I forgot to mention that you're the MD of Costain. Is it West Africa?
Costain West Africa.
Yeah, I'd like to know how you the experience
at this age and all that. Yes.
How are you going to bring it forward in terms of leadership in Oyo State?
Okay, leadership, running a public liability company in Nigeria is not an easy fit, but we've been able to do it. I was the youngest CEO on the Nigerian Stock Exchange when I took over the business. I was under 40 at the time. And we've run a successful business. And for me, I haven't garnered all that experience and expertise and exposure. And I feel that if I don't throw my hat in the ring and offer my people in Oyo State that similar service, then I'm doing a disservice to Nigeria. So irrespective of who you want to mention, you let them bring their A game. We brought our game, we've signified our interest. Then I believe Ayo Kareem is the man to beat.
Yeah, and see with your experience and obviously exposure, what plan do you have in terms of bringing in, attracting FDI, like
foreign investments?
If you become the governor, is Costain going to suddenly employ? They're going to have a headquarters in Oyo State?
Oh yes,
you know,
of course.
Are they going to start manufacturing bitumen in Oyo?
I'm not sure about bitumen. Bitumen is one of our.
Sorry,
bitumen is.
Are they going to bring factories into? You know, that's what we want.
Look, if you're coming from Lagos, right, and you're coming from Lagos, you get to Ogun State, then Oyo State is here. Before you can get to Kwara, Osun, Ekiti, and maybe 75% of Ondo State, you must go through us.
Yes.
That's true.
Did you think of that?
Yes.
You must go through the territory
That's
of
true.
Everything has to go through.
Yeah.
So now for me, it's a no-brainer. We already have a natural attraction to investment. And also, it's also an alternative to Lagos. As I said to you, there's no traffic. We have a lot of high institutions that can provide the necessary skills for you to build. All we need to do, we need a brand. And if this government, this present governor, Ajimobi, has already made it attractive to foreign investment to come in. Even if you look on his website today, there's a lot of investors coming. And they are also saying to him that whoever is going to take over from you should be somebody astute, somebody young, energetic, to be able to drive it, to attract that further investment. You need a steady hand. And who else? Look on the list. Who else would you find apart from Ayo Kareem?
Right. You said a steady hand, and another thing is, most Nigerians are really upset with governors. Do you know what they're upset about?
Why?
They're upset with governors for not paying salaries. Most governors, the federal government doesn't even owe. When you check in the annals of our history, federal government hardly owes money. It's always the state governors who tend to bank. Some of them bank the money. I'm not saying this is what's happening in our state, but I'm saying in general, they bank the money, it yields interest, whatever, what all sorts they do with the budget of the state. What we're saying is, when you become the governor of your state, how are you going to ensure that salaries, you know how it is in the UK,
Of course.
you get your payment, if you don't get paid, you're kicking off, you're angry. How are you going to ensure that that scourge becomes a thing of the past? People are not happy. In most states, they are owed 12 months. I don't want, I keep on saying to myself, if I was in that country, how would I survive? How are you going to make sure that doesn't happen under you?
Let me talk about the current situation now. If you look at the budget of Oyo State, it's 272 billion. Out of the 272 billion, there's a provision now to pay salaries, to pay pensioners, and to pay for healthcare. Yeah. And also to pay for teachers.
Okay.
You can see how important it is in the budget to mention those. So it's not just lumped as one. It's actually retirees, teachers, and then the civil service and the public service. So it's already categorized in there, and there's a budget, there's a provision for it. Which is, yes, like I said, there's a backlog. That backlog has been planned into the current budget, and the current is actually being taken care of on time. So now we intend to build on the success of this government to ensure that we uphold the same tradition. If you're employed by us in Oyo State, we will guarantee one thing: that we pay you on time when the money is due. And if you're leaving the service, we'll make sure all your entitlements are paid to you on time also. I mean, how do you do this thing? If we look at the budget, previous government, the reason why they struggled was the budget was 50% of today's budget. Now the provision, now we're at 272. I believe by the time we get to 400 billion, we should not have a problem.
So you actually know the reason why they owe this money, because people don't understand it. Why do you owe, if there's a provision in the budget to pay salaries? Why are people still complaining? Is it historical debt?
Historical debt. There's a lot of historical debt that's there.
So there's no provision to clear it?
The economy wasn't robust enough at the time to be able to carry the weight of what was happening. Now the economy is robust now to take care of the current, and building upon it, you can only get better in the future.
Well, we've talked about economy, we've talked about we haven't talked about security yet, because because there's so much going on in Nigeria as we speak regards to security.
The ranching issue we touched on, but I think you needed to talk a bit more about the state police in terms of security wise, with your experience as a military experience. Some I've seen military men who become security consultants. What do you think the problem is, and how in terms of security, even within the state, how do you community policing, even vigilante, I don't know, what do you think can stem from your experience as a military guy? I read up, you said you went to Elkamog, where you've traveled all around West Africa. Did you go to everywhere?
Let's talk about today's issue. Yes. You wanted to deal with the issue of security. Actually, one of the key things about security is that it's economic than social. There's a lot of poverty in the land. If wherever poverty is rife, there would be security issues, because people have to do things out of the ordinary to survive. Now, the idea is, for me, my approach will be different. Let's deal with the economic downturn first. Let's get to an equilibrium level, and now deal with the hardcore issues. If every part of the country, for example, is illuminated, there's light, right? You will find today that 50% of the perennial issues in terms of security will be gone. So now, we know common sense tells us that, why don't we increase the volume of power that's generated so we can deal with the issue of security, at least by 50%. The other 50% is the hardened criminal who would never change their ways. And there's also a lot of social programs to deal with that. The last resort, for me personally, is jailing people. We need to provide an enabling environment for people to have a choice. You see, you can't just, I know.
Are you going to have the state prisons? The prisons of federal government?
Prison, federal, but once if
you can't have any state,
you can, but the state also has to administer, uphold the law to ensure that there's a court process. It's a process. Economically, if the society is buoyant, personally, I feel that the security issue will be significantly reduced. So for me, I would approach it from an economic point of view. Then not neglecting the physical aspect of security. Policing also has to be available. The police has to also show integrity. They have to show discipline in their ways of, upholding the law. They have to be seen as an exemplary, personnel to, to uphold the law. If you're seen as that, you don't collect bribe, you're on time, you do things efficiently and effectively, you make sense. You're giving us that sense of security and an example. If I know that I commit a crime and I have to bribe you quickly to sort it out, then that's defeating the purpose. So those are the things that we need to change.
So I was wondering again, in terms of corruption, because in most states, the civil service is the biggest issue. How are you going to maybe revamp it? Because on the federal level, there's ghost workers being weeded out. I know in your state there must be a myriad of ghost workers. How are you going to do it? Then another issue is minimum wage. Some states have proclaimed and declared they're going to pay 55, well, not 55, but 18, 20. Some are paying 20.
I think minimum wage is about 18,500.
Yeah, so some are saying they're going to pay a lot more than that. I think Imo State said 22. Some are saying 30. But are you going to go that far in terms of your,
It has to be reviewed. I mean, you have to look at the economy. You have to look at what is available. Like I said to you before at the start, Oyo State is a typical civil service state. So the heaviest chunk of our budget is wage. Now I think we're just under 7 billion on a monthly basis at the moment, and on a monthly basis, the total recurrent expenditure is 22 billion. So 1/3 of it goes to salaries.
Yes.
Do you understand? So for me, that question: if we're paying 1/3 of our monthly budget goes towards salary, are we getting value for that? I mean, we have to have a benchmark system. And if we're not getting value, it needs to be looked at again. Let's look at how we can effectively manage that to give us value that's needed, so we're able to fledge our economy and push it a bit, further. You're paying a salary, make it work for us.
You're right. And for me, because I remember when I was growing up, we used to hear about the Oyo Empire, the Oyo Empire and all of that. That's all historical stuff, which could be monetized, really.
Yes.
If we're talking about tourism and so I'm wondering, do you have any plans for maybe the museum that's in Oyo? I don't know, in Ibadan or whatever. Are you going to revamp this? Are you going to look at some of your artifacts are in the London Museum?
I know.
So I've been there. So are you going to go and claim them back?
we would attempt to claim them back. If it belongs to us, so it's ours. There's no reason why. We need to see proof on how it managed to leave Oyo all the way to London. So I mean, this is something that we will look at. I mean, in terms of tourism, there's no. You and I know that in the UK, for example, tourism is about, I think it's about 13 or 17% of the GDP. I mean, for me, it's a no-brainer. And, it costs you nothing to provide these things. What would it cost you to put tourism in place? First of all, how would we attract, tourists into our society? Tourism means people believing, first of all, there's security. And there's something interesting for them to look at, also to learn from. It's not just coming to look at, also to have a good time, to feel satisfied when they're leaving, after they've parted with their time and money to leave. So this is part of the things that, for us, as I said, Oyo State is the epicenter of Yoruba land. And the Oyo king, the Alaafin of Oyo, alone has a lot of history to it. We want the world to come and learn about it. The Olubadan of Ibadan, the Shongo of Ogbomoso.
The Olubadan issue, I heard the current governor did something about the Olubadan. There was an issue there. Do you remember?
I remember.
There was an issue about Olubadan. He decided to create many because he felt there was not enough.
It's not the Olubadan that decided to create many.
No, the governor. Sorry, but he felt there was not enough. When he goes to Ogun State, they had so many Obas. And is that something you're going to carry on with, or is it? What was the reason? I didn't understand the reason for that. What was it?
Well, the reason is, I mean, from where I'm sitting, it makes a lot of sense. Whereby Ibadan is probably the only city in Yoruba land that size that only has one king.
Okay.
And Ibadan is the third largest in Africa.
But isn't that a good thing though? If you have one king,
it's a good thing. Also, but what the governor has done is not a bad thing. It's also a good thing. The idea is to increase tourism.
Okay.
We have a unique system in Ibadan whereby we know who the next 10 kings will be.
Wow.
Right?
Hereditary system. Is it hereditary or is it?
No, it's a family.
Family.
Sorry, family. It goes
so
like
the
that.
families.
We know who the family nominates one person, and that person sits in the ladder and keeps going like that.
Okay.
Now, since we know that, what the governor is saying is that why don't we create a pageantry system whereby those guys who are sitting on the ladder are also upgraded to a status of king, so they can have a small mini kingdom.
Yeah.
But that doesn't really, change the altar or
Altar,
anything.
everything.
It's just now the current Olubado is upgraded to a paramount ruler, and under him he has first-class kings, and you can still go on and where. So what he's trying to do is improve the status and the quality of all these guys. They're not just traditional chiefs anymore. They're also kings in their own right, but aspiring to become the overall ruler. And for me, it can only bring in tourism and investment and pageantry.
And that
colour.
leads us into the next question, which is, most state governors tend to sit on the local government allocation. So local government budget is non-existent in most states. So, like you're saying, does it mean that with these chiefs or these obas that you have, that means there's going to be, because let's face it, in most states, the reason why you see those side roads are not done, it's because there's no budget for the local governments. So are you going to have a local government chairman? Do you have one currently, or is it in some states they have what's it called? They call it caretakers.
No.
Are you going to have autonomy, their own budget, their own portfolio? The chairman looks after, and not being the governor sitting over, like maybe you're sitting over the state and local government and everything.
The governor's role is to govern the state, so he's the overall CEO. Even if as a local government, he has the overall responsibility. Don't forget that. So he has a role to play. So even the money is coming to the local government chairman, direct from federal. It is also the governor's prerogative, and is responsible to ensure that money is spent judiciously where it's supposed to be spent.
But isn't it right for the local government to have their own
budget?
They have a
budget.
their own account that they control.
Yes,
that's the issue here.
Currently they do.
No, but in most states, what happens is the governor sits upon everything. And then he doesn't give the local government chairman the free hand and the councillors to be able to say, look, I know there are 33 local governments in.
No, there's 33 local governments, and there's another 35 LCDA.
Okay, within the state. So those local government those small areas you're talking about. The problem why I've noticed in Nigeria that there's hardly grassroots development is because state governors, and they learn somehow it's a lacuna in the constitution, they sit on the budget that comes to the state, and they don't give the local government chairman their funds to manage. Because they don't do that, that means that nothing. They'll just give them a pittance every month or whatever, and then they will use it to build houses and do what they want. And the local villages and all that are suffering. So I'm saying, when you get there, are you going to look at this issue? It's a real issue.
It is.
Are you going to look at it and ensure that that when you come in, you make that difference? Make sure that the people, because most governors are the ones responsible for the chairman that come in anyway. If you're going to be honest, that they come in and make sure that you use it judiciously.
Okay, let me.
No, I'm passionate about it. Because that's why there's no grassroots development in
okay, let me tell you, there's a master plan for the state in terms of infrastructure, in terms of human capital development. Okay, now, one of the first things we will do is to ensure that the local government plan fits into the general master plan, first of all. Then there's allocation going to that. Our job in the center is to ensure that when funding goes to the local government, it is judiciously spent on what is supposed to be. So there has to be checks and balances in that. You can't just be a local government chairman, have a budget, and money vanishes. That's never going to happen. I can guarantee you that 100%. It is never going to happen. You see, now we want people to be forthright, we want people to be honest, we want people to be diligent and do things for the sake of doing things, not for your self-lining or lining your pocket.
Sorry, finally, before I let you speak, finally. I've seen so many, in most states in Nigeria, I must say, local government, the places that suffer the most are the schools. You go to the schools, you see they're all dilapidated. Schools that were built in the 1930s are still the same structures there. The kids, obviously the local village kids, you wouldn't want your children to go there. So I'm wondering, what plan do you have? I've seen governors that come and they have a plan to build maybe one school in each local government and all that. Do you have such a plan in your agenda?
Let me tell you, let me look at the overall plan of our party, APC, and we look at the state plan also. The school feeding program. You see, I always say this, Nigeria is a very unorthodox country where things are not necessarily by textbook. We know ourselves. Like for me, I know myself, I know my people, I know the environment. And if you do those two things correctly, you will overcome, always overcome. But there's a peculiar issue with Nigeria. We know that we need to build 1,200 schools. Like you said, all dilapidated. Right? Now, Do we wait? How long? What is the budget to build 1,200 schools? And how long would it take? In real time, if the money is available, it will probably take about 10 years. Does that mean our students?
1,200 schools?
Yeah.
If you build one every month concurrently across, is it in the state?
In the state.
Okay.
Does that mean that our children wouldn't go to school for 10 years?
No.
See, that's
Still have to go to school.
so now, what do? We know we need to build 1,200 schools. But at the moment, we cannot have 10 years for children to sit at home. Why don't we create a system that attracts them to school first and build infrastructure around the whilst they're in school?
Yeah, that makes
For me,
sense.
that's why I refer to Nigeria as being unorthodox.
Yes.
Yeah, that
You
makes
see,
sense.
now,
Yeah.
the school feeding program by the federal government and the state government has already addressed that issue. Now we have more children coming into school, a learning environment.
Yeah.
They're coming out from their villages, like you said, from the houses to
Schools.
and 1 meal a day is now provided by the government. And if you say that's not good enough, then what else is? What that's done is that the children are coming out of their villages, they go into a learning environment. We'll talk about the quality of education later.
Yeah.
First of all, they're coming out of it, they're taking the pressure off their parents. Their parents can then focus on things that they're supposed to do as parents.
Yeah.
At the moment, they're already taking resources that's not available. What the government has done is allow the parents to be able to, acquire resources and be able to spend it whilst the children are in school learning something. Now, let's move on to the next stage. The first stage is get them out.
Yeah.
Let them go to a learning environment. We need teachers, we need infrastructure. We know that. Let's start building those things around it. The current government has even built a prototype school in Mokola and said this is where we want to go for the future.
Yeah.
And a learning environment is safe, is conducive, and fantastic. Now, infrastructure, then these teachers, books, etc. These things are coming in. This is where investors like yourself will now think, this man has done. He has created an enabling environment for people like yourself, myself, to invest. So you have to approach this thing in a very methodical, in a very systematic way. And with this current government, Ajimobi has been very smart about it. And like I said to you, in the next 5 to 10 years, if you have not come to Oyo State to receive qualitative education, you haven't been anywhere in Nigeria.
Okay, so we have come almost to the end of the show. What does Ayodeji, Ismail, Karim have to say to the Oyo people? Sell yourself out to the Oyo people so they can all vote for you.
As I said, my name is Ayodeji Ismail Karim. I'm an indigenous of Oyo State from Ibadan. And I would always encourage my people in Oyo State to please vote for people of integrity. Vote for people who are not tainted. Vote for people who will do right by you, who will do the things that you want to be done. Like our current leader said, he said, take people from where they are to where they ought to be, not where they think they should be. Right? Take them to where they ought to be. If you let anyone give you a piece of sliced bread to take away your bakery, you would only get the government that you deserve, not the government that you desire. And this is what I always say to my people: vote conscientiously, vote right. Don't let anybody buy your vote, and do not sell your vote. I know there's poverty in the land. That's why people like myself is coming into the system to lend support, to drive us out of the poverty that we're in, and our current government to build on the current successes of this current government and take it to an exponential level.
You are welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you very
for
much.
having me.
We appreciate it.
I wish you all the best.
We appreciate you.
Nigeria needs people like you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, we appreciate you.
And
I'm coming from where I'm coming from. I hope you find those young parties enjoying them with your intellectual.
As I said, strategic partnership.
Yes.
Strategic alliance. Is
Thank you very much for watching. This is a Prime View on Heritage TV. My name is Mystic Marlene.
And I'm Spencer.
Have a good night.
I'll see you next time. We'll see you next time on the show. Take care.
Have a good night, y'all.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye all.
Welcome to Karama Lounge Pan-African Restaurant, bringing you the finest taste of African food to the heart of East London. Choose from a variety of Pan-African menu or try our point and kill fresh catfish. We are located in 308 Barking Road, East Ham, London, E6 3BA. For table bookings, birthday bookings, baby shower and private events, call us on 0203 302 6565 or 07532 789 480. Kuramo Lounge. Welcome to Kuramo Lounge.
A great product just landed in Africa to power your devices. A product with high performance and high durability. Fujitsu batteries, distributed by IQ Distributions. Fujitsu has both industrial and consumer battery types suitable for various devices. The consumer battery types include alkaline batteries, carbon zinc batteries, rechargeable batteries, lithium batteries to power devices like torchlight, wristwatch, mouse, cordless phone, remote, car remote, camera, calculator, radio, microphone, motherboard, keyboard, gamepad, toys, electric toothbrush, smoke detector and lots more. Reputable, reliable and result-oriented distributors are wanted in Nigeria, Ghana, South Africa and the entire sub-Saharan Africa region. To apply, simply visit www.iqdistributions.com. Complete the reseller application form, upload the required documents, and submit. Once your application is approved, you will be given access to make purchases on the website. For more details, contact us now. Fujitsu batteries, quality, engineered in Japan.